This is The Whole Truth, brought to you by the Greenville County Democratic Party. From local city councils and school boards to the South Carolina legislature and the nation, we provide a clear-eyed view of the whole truth surrounding the decisions, the policies, and the politics that have a direct impact on your family, your neighbors, and you. In today's episode of The Whole Truth, we bring you an important and interesting interview with a Democratic candidate vying to be the next governor of South Carolina. Dr. Jermaine Johnson is currently serving in the South Carolina House as the elected representative for District 52, which covers Kershaw and Richland counties. Because the South Carolina legislature is back in session now, we weren't able to meet with him in person. Instead, the chair of the Greenville County Democratic Party, Stacey was able to catch up with Dr. Johnson over a video conference call. Here is that interview.
Everyone, thanks so much for being with us on another episode of The Whole Truth. Today we have Representative Jermaine Johnson here who is with us, and he is running for governor. He's come to Greenville on a number of occasions, and we are so thankful for that. And he's going to talk a little bit about what a new South looks like, or New South Carolina looks like to him. A new SC, that's right. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in, Rep, and then, we'll just go from there, okay? So when you first ran for office, you ran against a 22-year incumbent and you won, something that is almost nearly impossible in politics, right? And now you've thrown your hat into the ring for governor. So it's clear you don't shy away from a challenge. People are energized and they're ready for change. So since you've announced, you've been traveling the state and telling us your story about how you turned pain into purpose. So for our listeners who aren't familiar with you and your work, why don't you talk about a little bit about your work and about why you decided to run for governor?
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me on here today. It's always a good opportunity to get these moments to actually talk directly to the people of South Carolina, and particularly y'all folks up there in Greenville. It's always good to be up there in the upstate. Y'all got my favorite fast food spot, which is Jack in the Box. So that's why I like.
Wow, I thought you were going to say a soul food restaurant.
I like some Jack in the Box, y'all. So it's good. So I love coming up there, give you some Jack in the Box. But, when I decided to run for office back in 2019, obviously, when you're a young person like myself, they say you're too young, you're too inexperienced, you need to wait your turn. But I felt like it was just the right time. It was the right time because the people were looking for something different. They needed somebody younger. They needed somebody with a little bit of energy, somebody that was really ready and willing to get out there and fight and do what needed to be done. And I decided to do that. And I ran against, a bunch of individuals who were saying that it, just wasn't my time. And I ignored it. And I won. So since then, terms are only 2 years. So traditionally, they tell you to wait your turn and kind of sit back and don't say too much. But I said, listen, I might not be here in 2 years. So exactly. once I got in there, I got to speaking up and doing everything that I had to do to make sure that my people felt like they had representation and that there was no fall off for having representation. And fast forward up until, I'm in my third term now, I have truly been fighting for the people of South Carolina. And because I've been fighting for the people of South Carolina, I've made a name for myself as being an independent thinker, somebody who works across party lines and doesn't is not concerned with labels. And really just wants to get things done. And because of that, this is why there have been cries, not just across South Carolina, but across America. And I even got, some calls and emails from people in other countries saying, Jermaine, listen, you're really giving voice to our pain, and we would love to see you do more. So that's when I, traveled the state and talked to a bunch of people. And they said, man, we want to move you out of this exploratory committee to being a full run candidate for governor. And I listened to the people and I decided to throw my hat in for governor.
Awesome. And last year, you really stepped up in a big way. When the House was going through talking about Bill 3927, which is also known as the anti-DEI bill. You made a speech that went viral. And I'm going to just tell our listeners some of what you said, okay? You said you don't like being called racist in here. You hate when we use the word racist. You hate being attacked. You hate when we bring up race and everything. But then when we have an opportunity to show you we're not racist, you let me down every time. and you were able to stop that particular bill, but they passed one that was not too different from that one. And since then, Governor McMaster, he's issued an executive order that prohibited federal contractors and subcontractors from hiring discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. So now the Republicans in the Senate are poised to take up their version of the South Carolina House anti-DEI bill. What would you say to them about that one?
Yeah, I would say to not be silent. Don't be silent. Don't just take whatever it is that they're throwing at us. Because what we learned from the very first initial bill that President Trump wanted to see come to South Carolina was that it was not going to equate to South Carolina the way it would be to the federal government. So he wanted us to take a carbon copy bill from the federal government and institute it here in South Carolina. But what we found out was that that bill was actually going to cost taxpayers $86 million to implement that bill. And that was a problem. And they tried to push it through on a proviso through the state budget. And that's when I gave that speech. And it actually, like people say, sometimes when Democrats speak, it falls on deaf ears. Well, this one didn't. It didn't fall on deaf ears, which is why they decided to remove it out of the state's budget altogether and rewrite it completely. What I will say to my Republican colleagues in the Senate, take a look at the writing, take a look at the bills, take a look at what industry is doing in South Carolina. Was diversity, equity, inclusion a problem when Volvo came? Was diversity, equity, inclusion a problem when Scout Motors just came here? Was the diversity, equity, inclusion a problem when Boeing decided to come here? It was not a problem. It has only become a problem in recent years with this new administration. And I want us to look at the diversity that we have here in South Carolina. We have people from all walks of life that are here in South Carolina. So let's not demonize certain subgroups of individuals. And we have to understand that the people who are truly going to suffer from legislation like this, it's not Black people, it's not Hispanics, it's women. Women are going to be the biggest losers of this legislation. And I wish we would be talking more about that. This is Black women. This is white women. This is Asian women. This is Native American women. This is, just women in general are going to suffer from this because they're going to be the ones who are trying to break into these male-dominated industries and they can't get in because of they're a white woman or they're a Black woman or they're, it's like, oh, they don't belong here or whatever it is that whatever craziness they want to say. We need to start looking at this in a holistic approach and realize that they are going to be letting their daughters suffer in the meantime.
Exactly. And I was going to ask you that because what is it going to take for them to understand that this isn't going to just affect other people? This is not going to just affect them. It's also going to affect their wives, their daughters, their nieces, all of that. So what does it take to get that point across? Because it seems like they don't care until they're directly impacted.
Yeah, that's the huge issue, right? Because even with gun crimes and things like that, with all the shootings and the homicides that we have here in South Carolina, I've been a big proponent of responsible gun ownership. I've done talks. I've been around the state. I've held summits. I helped create the CVIP program in South Carolina, and you always get the Republicans who are, anytime you mention guns, they're like, oh no, you can't mention guns here. That's such a scary thing. You can't do that. But I'll tell you one thing. After I did a talk on SCETV about the gun epidemic that we have here in South Carolina, I got a call from a Republican in the upstate. And he said, Jermaine, I want to work with you on some of these reforms. I'm like, well, where's this coming from? Like all of a sudden want to work with me on these gun reforms. He had told me about an incident that happened in his district, in his community. That is the main problem that we have here is nobody wants to fix anything until it comes knocking at their door. And we need to start, helping individuals to understand sympathy and empathy and not having to have a problem happen in your neighborhood or in your household before you start to care about it. It's time for South Carolinians to actually care about their neighbors, care about the people in Darlington, care about the people in Chester, care about the people in Allendale and Jasper and Hampton, care about those people without having to have the situation actually happen right there in your community.
Oh, preach. Right. I don't think I could have said it any better. You were so very right. it shouldn't have to happen to you for you to care about it. And
Right.
so thank you for that. So I'm gonna go back a little bit, and we started out talking about your run for governor, and I was looking at your website, and you list affordability, infrastructure, and families as policies that you're going to focus on as governor. One of the sub policies, I guess you could call it, you listed was investing in fathers and families. And that's not really something you see on a candidate's website. So, can you talk about that a little bit and explain why it was important for you to list that as a priority?
Yes, absolutely. So we know that fathers being involved in the lives of their children can really stimulate a child's production and their health, right? So back in 2015, I began working for an organization called the Midlands Fatherhood Coalition. And I used to go to the courts and and advocate for men to go through our Jobs Not Jail program. Because sometimes these individuals, they're not deadbeats, they're just dead broke. And because they don't have the money, the finances, see, in South Carolina, did you know that they can suspend every single license that you have for being behind on child support except for a lawyer's license? Every single license. So if you make your money by being a forklift driver, they're going to take your forklift license. If you're a dentist, they're going to take your dental license. If you're a pilot, they take your pilot's license. They take your driver's license. They take everything from you except for your lawyer's license because we know the laws are written by lawyers. Right. So we have this issue that's going on over and over and over again where men are they'll lose their job. And because they've lost their job, they can't make the two payments. They say, hey, listen, if you miss two payments, you're going to go to jail for, up to 90 days or a year. You get up to a year on each individual case. So let's say the judge says, well, we're going to send you to jail for 90 days. Well, while you're in jail, that child support continues to accrue. So I go in owing $3,000, I come out owing $6,000, right? So I owe $6,000 when I come home, and they say if you miss two more payments, you're going to go back to jail. Well, I don't know who's finding a job in 2 weeks. So you miss those 2 weeks of payments, you're going back to jail for another 90 days, unless somebody says, all right, we're going to give you a chance, we're going to give you an opportunity. And I give you one example. I was sitting in the back of the courtroom about to advocate for a man who was in front of the judge, rule to show cause, what it's called. And the man had a zero balance. He didn't owe any child support, and he had a job, and he had paid everything up. The judge sentenced this man to 90 days in jail because he said he was not paying the child support in the way that he ordered him to pay the child support.
So he paid the child support.
Exactly. He didn't owe anything. He didn't owe anything. But the judge let his ego get in the way and still sentenced this man to 90 days in jail because he said he didn't pay it the way that he ordered him to pay it. That's a problem. When you have a man who has a job, he doesn't owe any child support, but yet now you are going to send him to jail. He's going to lose his job. He's going to come out owing child support. The child is not going to see his father. The child's mother is now going to be like, well, what am I going to do for the next 3 months without any money, without anything whatsoever? That's a problem. And because men are just getting the short end of the stick in terms of having support for, financial support, because the biggest support system for men without jobs is prison. There are no other things that are out there, but we know we have DSS, we have all the other different things for single mothers. There aren't anything for these fathers who are dealing with situations, including shelters and housing and all these different types of things, and including if you have a situation where the mother is getting Section 8 or she's getting something for her and her child, she will lose her Section 8 as soon as the man comes into the house. So we have a problem where we have to really start trying to figure out how to put these families back together.
Absolutely. So, it sounds like it's really like this never ending cycle. And one of the things that you could potentially look at is like ensuring that these people don't lose their licenses so that they're able to find a job if and when they go to prison, or get out, excuse me.
Right. I want to remove barriers so that fathers can truly be fathers.
Absolutely. I just thought that was interesting. I was like, I've never seen this on another candidate's website. So it's good to see that you're invested in families, as a whole in South Carolina. So another thing that you talk about is affordability. And I see where you talk about reducing taxes on the middle class, but can you speak to what you would do to bring down prices? Because everything is so expensive right now,
Right.
and people are struggling in a really big way. So what do you think are some solutions to provide relief to
Yes.
families?
Yeah. So I currently sit on the insurance ad hoc committee. And if anybody's been paying attention to me in these committees, you will see that I've been asking the tough questions to these insurance carriers that are here, because it doesn't even matter right now. I'm sure that you have been a perfect driver, right? You've been a perfect driver, but
Of
yet every
course.
single renewal, your insurance
Absolutely.
premium goes up, doesn't it? Every single
It
time it
does.
goes up. You haven't had any accidents, no claims or anything, but your insurance rate continues to rise. Right. So I've been asking these questions of the insurance carriers. Well, why is that the situation? Why is that? And people have been saying, well, if you change this law here, then the insurance carrier is going to leave the state. He's going to stop offering this. But that is a lie. Insurance carriers do better in South Carolina than they do in any other state that's out here in America. And they are making money hand over fist here. Progressive last year alone, they spent over $5 billion just in advertisement.
Wow.
Just in advertisement. So because we have this problem going on with individuals and they continuously make money and raise your premiums every single year, I'm saying, well, let's call their bluff. All right, let's change these laws. And if they leave here, fine, leave there. Somebody else will come get your business. And that even will put me in the mindset of potentially looking at an insurance option that the state can provide. Where it says, hey, listen, we'll insure, we'll do this, we'll work with the brokers, and we'll figure this thing out together, because I don't think that we should be at the mercy of these insurance carriers who are raising our premiums over and over and over again, and they are even punishing you for not being at fault in an accident. Some drunk driver hits you, but yet they want to be able to drop you from your insurance or raise your premium, and you had it was nothing that had to do with you. I want to change all of that to make sure to force these insurance carriers to bring prices down so that you can afford your insurance on your home, your autos, and things like that.
I love that, because a car insurance is expensive.
Yes.
It's just super expensive now. And this is coming from somebody who actually used to work in the property and casualty space.
Yeah. I own an insurance company myself. So that's how I know how this stuff works. And it's heartbreaking for me. Another thing that I'm trying to do, I've been writing a bill about giving grocery stores tax incentives to come into food deserts, right? Because we have areas like that where they're being underserved. So I want to be able to give them some incentives to come there to keep the fresh produce and fresh fruits and vegetables at a lower affordable cost, but also give them something, a reason why they need to come to these areas, to help people from also having to travel long distances and catch rides from these rural areas. Give them some opportunities to get some cheap fruits and vegetables.
I think I've seen another representative that was I'm thinking along the same line as you, Representative Wendell Jones. I know he has something that he was looking at as well. And until, we can get something like that passed, does it make sense for to think maybe outside of the box creatively in a way, having maybe food truck type grocery stores, that kind of thing, or, I guess a short-term solution until we can actually get something like that in place?
Yeah, so in Richland County, we do have something like that. It's like it's a mobile grocery store type thing with a trailer, and they have fruits and vegetables and things on their trailer. They've gotten grants from the federal government, but because the federal government is doing what the federal government is doing right now, a lot of these things are being cut. A lot of these opportunities are being cut for these communities, and it's the people on the ground that are suffering. It's these small businesses that are suffering, and people who are just trying to get some healthy food options that are suffering. It's going to take a lot of philanthropy to go ahead and keep these things running smoothly until we can get the federal government in line to do the right thing.
Absolutely. I just think it's interesting how we have the food deserts now, and I used to live in a place that seemed like it could be a bit of a food desert. So it's just interesting, the solutions that people are coming up with, but it takes so long for it to get to places like here in South Carolina and things of that nature. So I'm looking forward to hoping your bill comes up this session.
Yeah, me too.
So I do have a couple more questions for you. So you mentioned passing the hate crimes bill on your website that Representative Gilliard, he introduced it years ago, but it still hasn't passed. And that leaves South Carolina as one of the only 2 states that does not have a hate crimes bill, which, I mean, it's kind of on par for South Carolina, right?
On par. Yeah.
So, what do you think it will take to get your Republican colleagues on board to pass this bill?
Well, the first thing, I don't think a couple of them are ever going to come on board. But that means that we on the Democrat side are going to have to play a little bit more hardball. There are opportunities for us to play hardball, but we need all of the Democrats to be on board with this. So you can force roll call votes on the House side with just 9 people. If you have 9 people who put their hand up and say they want to have a roll call, you could literally have those 9 committed soldiers saying, we're going to slow down every other bill that comes through this House until y'all bring up the hate crimes bill. We could literally gridlock government if we wanted to, if everybody was on a committed mission to say, this is what we're going to do until they bring the hate crimes bill up to be heard. But that's the problem. We don't have enough people who are committed to doing the hard work. People have to be committed to doing the hard work and not being worried about being, not losing their crumbs for their areas. And we've seen a lot of things that have happened at the State House where, something will come up and they'll be like, well, I can't say this because I might lose the money for my project over here, or I might lose this seat on this committee over here. So I can't do that. I can't say that. Well, how long is it going to take before we say, you know what, forget all that stuff over there? Because you got to think back in the civil rights era. Do you think all those African Americans, those black folk wanted to walk for 366 days so they can get the civil rights passage? No, they did not. They walked the soles out their shoes. But they said, you know what, I am committed to the mission. I'm committed to doing what needs to be done, what is right, so that we can get the overall support for all of us, everything that we deserve and what we need. That's what we need in our State House. That's what we need in our General Assembly. It's people who are going to say, you know what, I'm not worried about my committee. I'm not worried about this money for this little project over here. This right here needs to be done because it's for the people of South Carolina. And until we get people to buy into what the totality of the mission is, we're going to continue to see the same thing over and over again.
What do you think it's going to take to get them to buy into it, though? I mean, to me, that's just the question. I know you kind of went into it a little bit, but it's just, Representative Johnson, we are a super minority.
Yes.
Right? Yes. What is it going to take? Because what we're doing right now is not working, clearly.
Right. Well, it's going to take leadership. The first thing I can tell you, if I become governor of South Carolina, or when I become governor of South Carolina, I will be meeting with my House Dems and my Senate Dems, and that is the first thing I will be saying. I will be proposing to them and saying, "Hey, listen, I need y'all to be committed, and I don't need all of you. I just need 9 of you. I just need 9 of you to be committed soldiers. That's it. And we're going to do so much work in that State House and in that General Assembly that is going to be transformational for the people of South Carolina. So if you can help me identify 9 committed soldiers who are saying, I don't care nothing about my individual committee. I don't care nothing about my individual. This is going to be for the good of the people. You help me find those 9 people. I'll drive it home and I'll get us there.
And it seems like when people stand up, that makes people when representatives stand up, that makes people on the outside, the people in their districts, want to get behind them. But right. They can't until they stand up, right?
That's correct.
So
yeah, I need 9 committed soldiers. That's it. and what's going to happen is once we begin to use that tactic, what's going to happen is they're going to try to change the rules. They've done it over and over and over again. They're going to try to make it 12 people or 13 people or 15 people. And they're going to try to move the goalposts. But while we have that in our favor, we should be using it.
Exactly. I 100% agree with you. Yeah. So we'll end on a bit of a lighter note, if you will. So I got a few questions for you. First thing that comes to your mind, quick rapid fire questions. So you ready?
Yep.
Who is your favorite basketball player?
Kobe Bryant is the greatest basketball player of all time.
Who was it?
Kobe Bryant is the greatest basketball player of all time. Of all time.
Okay, I said rapid fire, but you got to explain.
Okay, all right. Of all time, yes.
Okay. All right. Your favorite country to travel to?
Mexico.
Mexico.
Yes.
You played ball there,
I
right?
played ball in Mexico. I've got a couple nieces and nephews that live in Mexico also.
Okay, very nice. Your favorite city in South Carolina?
Oh man, Charleston, definitely, man.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Charleston.
Greenville.
Okay. Oh, listen, Greenville. Greenville.
You even said we had your favorite restaurant.
I went to the College of Charleston. You know, I got my people down there.
I can't blame you. I like Charleston too.
Yeah.
So, who's your favorite house rep?
Oh, my favorite house rep. That's a good question. There's so many of them. In the past, I would say it was Wendy Brawley.
Okay.
Before she left, yeah, it was Wendy Brawley was my favorite. I tell you, that was my friend, that was my sister right there. And before her, it was Joe Neal, Representative Joe Neal. So it would be Joe Neal first, and then it was going to be Wendy. In terms of current House reps, probably Gilda, because Representative Gilda Cobb Hunter, she is oh my gosh, she is a master legislator.
She is fantastic. Okay, I like all three of those. If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who and why?
Dr. King.
Dr. King, why?
Dr. King, well, I would like to know how he was able to get people so united around a mission, to get that many people to say to buy into something, because I think that's the most pertinent thing that we have going on right now in this country, is trying to get people to buy in and say, you know what, I'm going to put my personal ego aside. I'm going to put my personal wants and things aside. We have a mission to accomplish. And he was able to do that with a large amount of people, to get like-minded people together, say, we are going to achieve this goal-oriented people, because I'm a basketball player and I believe in teamwork.
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today, Representative Johnson. I am looking forward to seeing you on the trail more, and good luck to you.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.
We want to thank you for watching and listening to The Whole Truth podcast, brought to you by the GCDP. It is now available on both Spotify and Apple Podcast outlets, so please make sure you share the link to this podcast with a friend or three, or post it on your own social media profiles. Help us spread the word so more people can get the whole truth. You can also learn about other ways to get involved by checking in the GCDP website at greenvilledemocrats.com and click on the events calendar. Or you can keep up with what's going on by following our social media profiles shown here. No matter what your experience you have or what skills you have to offer, we welcome you to join us in helping progress this county toward a better future. Thanks for watching and listening.